Okay, guys, welcome back to the Free Life Agents podcast. This is FLA number 29, and I have a guest with me today who is a great friend of mine. He is a real estate investor, a real estate agent, and an overall great leader with a lot of experience as well. So, we're going to be talking all about real estate investing, being a real estate agent, why you should get your real estate license, and different things like that. But without further ado, I want to bring on my guest, my good friend Tony Flores, the premier real estate agent in San Antonio. Welcome, Tony.
Thanks, Kobe. Appreciate it. Great to be here.
Yeah, no, great to have you as well. I know you're doing a lot of great things, a lot of different things in the real estate space, especially over there in San Antonio. So really want to get your thoughts on some things today. But let's just dig right in. And why don't you kind of introduce yourself a little bit to the audience? Tell us a little bit about your background and your background in real estate and how you kind of came about doing what you're doing right now.
Okay, great. Yeah, so my background really, when I was your age, Kobe, I was working at a retail drugstore. I started out as a stock clerk. I was just getting things on the shelf, just working hard. My goal essentially was just to be a someone that they could count on, someone people could rely on, get things done. Try to get as many hours as I could. I started out in the summertime and just kind of worked really my last senior year through high school. And then I really enjoyed it. Felt like, I was learning a lot, progressing, and enjoyed it. It ended up, so I started when I was 17 years old, and that was the summer of my junior to senior year in high school. By the time, essentially within like a year and a half, I was asked to get promoted, if I would wanted to be an assistant manager. And I didn't feel like I was ready for that. But the main reason why I took that promotion, I had already trained the more recent assistant store manager at that time. I had helped train them on so many things. They didn't last, and I thought, okay, so they had already asked me. They had already asked me at that point if I wanted a position at that point. So I had declined it. They hired someone else from the outside, and then um, I decided to go ahead and it would look better on my resume to to get promoted. So I said, okay, let me just go ahead and do that. So that turned into be a career that spanned 30 years. And so yeah, so I was in a retail drug chain for 30 years. During that time, had it's been a great company. I was told by many of the store managers. So I was a store manager. I was told by many of the store managers, stick with the company. It's great stock options, great stock growth, and things like that. So that's really what kept me on. But things, after a certain period of time, with a lot of companies, things change. There was some debt with the company. They started, offering less for managers, bonuses, and things like that. So there was less of incentive. Plus, it wasn't necessarily my long-term goal. I just kind of ended up doing that because I did enjoy it. Um, and then so I just started looking for other opportunities, other things that I was interested in. And real estate was really something that was in my head for many years, that I wanted to do. So that's how I ended up really becoming just doing the investing side. I started when I was a store manager and started probably 2 years before I left, and really enjoyed it, and kind of transitioned, decided to leave that company and move on into investing, flipping, wholesaling, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And so you've dabbled in a lot of different kind of areas of investing, and maybe we can kind of start talking about that as well. It's like what does your business look like when you first started investing in real estate, and kind of how that kind of evolved throughout as you got more involved, and now that you're full time in this as well. How does that kind of evolved in your journey, and how does your business look like then, and what does it kind of look like now?
So the the first thing that I started doing really, it just, I would go to networking events. I would go to just learn as much as I could. I'd listen to Bigger Pockets. I'd go to local RIAs. We went to, weekend events, and, decided I, just wanted to go ahead and move forward and do investing and part-time. So just set up, I just started doing, created, my LLC. I sent out mailers looking for motivated people that had the potential to be motivated sellers. So what it looked like at the beginning, I had, just a website. I had my phone, I used one of the systems there where they can, just route your phone call to yourself. I would take some phone calls. Sometimes I would go to the break room, talk to a seller. And my first deal seller, I talked to them briefly, and I said I would call them back. I ended up calling them, when I ended up taking lunch break. Found a really nice deal on a duplex. Worked with another investor, someone I partnered with, because I was still a little bit unsure at the time if it was a good deal, and ended up turning out really good so that was when I found them. That was probably after about 5 months, marketing and just getting some mailers out there. Did really good on that deal because I partnered with the right person, and they had extensive knowledge, and ended up basically selling my portion of that to that other investor, and ended up with about $23,000 in my first deal.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean, like, I guess you brought up a pretty good point, is that you work with a partner on that first deal. And I'm guessing, you've definitely worked with, partnerships in real estate investing more than just that one occasion. Right.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, one thing I guess I learned in business and in, really anything, partnerships to me are crucial. Partnerships to me can make or break anything that you're dealing with. So, so knowing who to partner with is good. Just getting myself exposed and to different people, and understanding what their business models are and what they have the potential to do, and help how we could help each other essentially is why I really do feel like partnerships are extremely important.
Yeah, definitely.
So
That's
yeah, that's pretty much how it started. Then after after getting a few deals, my wife felt more comfortable with, like, okay, well, I can see this working. So, it was like, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and had permission, essentially permission to keep moving forward and leave my long-term previous career.
right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it sounds like, when you're getting started, working with the right people, and then also that kind of propelled you into, doing what you're able to do now. And then, getting permission to do this full time as well, and, build a better lifestyle. Right. And I think we were just talking about this just right now, that, you have a little bit more free time to be able to, spend more time with your family. And then getting into real estate has really helped you with that as well. So that's kind of, one of the things we like to talk about this podcast is, building a better lifestyle through your business, and kind of what are you learning in your business right now that you're incorporating as well. So just to
Yes.
kind of touch on that as well, is, from getting started full time, and I guess you've kind of been in this for a couple of years, what are some different things that, you've learned, moving your business in a new direction? And, maybe you can even talk about how you just, got your real estate license about a year ago, and then how that's kind of changed your business in the past year as well. And, what has that done? Because a lot of investors are moving in that direction. And we just had a couple of interviews talking, about that topic just the past couple of weeks as well. So
Yeah. So kind of with that, I'm on forums and, of course, social media, and we hear, I think some of the things that we're hearing, the regulations coming, there's been some unscrupulous type investors, and then there's just unscrupulous type people in any kind of business. But, how can that be corrected? And, some of the stuff that came down in Oklahoma, that's like just one state away from me. Plus really, getting a license for me is something that I just thought about for a while. And it was just something that I felt like, okay, this is something I'd like to do. And I talked to several people, agents and investors. And then, nothing they told me was really negative about it. So I kind of put it in the back of my head that I would eventually become a realtor as well. And, so eventually, what happened, what the turning point was, buying distressed property on, of course, the commission side. I saw what the agent made. They made a total of 32,000, and, we allowed them to negotiate. This was on a commercial property with 3 houses. And, I told them, yeah, you can, represent us. But essentially they were actually friends with the seller, and I was still doing the negotiation. So I felt like, in that point, I kind of gave up $16,000 that could have essentially been down to my bottom line. So I'm like, okay, this is the deal. This is where I'm making the decision. I'm now going to be a realtor as well, because, that $16,000, it could have, in previous deals, I only saw it as small chunks, here and there. But this one, it was kind of like, it was more impactful, and so it was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's not a small amount of money, right? So a lot of real estate agents or a lot of real estate investors become agents for that exact reason, is so that they're saving money on their deals, especially flippers who have to, list their properties and sell them. They're not necessarily keeping, many properties. No, they might keep a few, but really their business is to go in and flip it and make the return on the appreciation, the forced appreciation that they have. So I think
Right.
having your license, that is one of the key reasons why a lot of investors are ending up, especially now with, the additional regulations on some of the things that are happening. Because I mean, maybe you can give your opinion on this as well, because you've been on, both sides of the industry. I think you're still in, you're still in both sides of the industry. That, investing is kind of a, it's a less regulated, branch of the real estate industry, where people can kind of just go in. We hear the wholesaler stories and different things like that. But on the agent side, it's a much more litigious, a much more regulated side of the industry. So I think a lot of investors have the mindset where if they get their license, then there's certain things that they can't do. So maybe you can kind of talk about like why having your license has actually, improved your business overall, not just on the saving your commission side, but what has it done for your current business, and how you're able to expand your marketing as well.
Yeah. So what it's done differently, I think, is just, there's more trust with if someone asks me if I'm a realtor, I said, I do,
Yeah.
of course, let them know, yes, I am a realtor. If I'm approaching them as an investor, I do say, yes, yes, I am a realtor. I'm a licensed realtor. I do want to buy this. I'm also an investor. So I do want to purchase this property as an investment. So yeah, I want to, make sure I address it, but they're like, oh, okay. So there's inherently going to be trust factor when you tell people that you are a realtor. So that part for sure is something that I can have and not say that, um, yeah, that's part of my business. So they, and it should be, right, because there is more regulation, there's more oversight, there is a something that the code of ethics that you, of course, must abide by, and that's something that I feel like I hold myself to really high standards. So I had no issue with the code of ethics or those types of things that I, going through the training and going through all the licensing part of being a real estate agent. So yeah, just just letting people know I am a realtor, and you can trust me with, with the purchase of the house, and there's accountability if, anything shady kind of would happen, but not with me.
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of investors are afraid, I guess, that they can't do certain things
Mhm.
if they become a licensed agent. And then from, everything that I've heard, that's the complete
Right.
opposite, right? It's
Right.
completely untrue.
Yeah. Right. Correct. Yeah. So, there's, you just of course need to disclose that you're a realtor when you're making a contract, but outside of that, there's really not anything that you're, at the end of the day, you're still a buyer, and so there's not something that says that you really can't do that. I mean, it's just another part of your business. So no, I had never had any issue making offers and just disclosing I'm a realtor. I'm licensed in the state of Texas, and it's just something to disclose, just like anything else.
Right.
Business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, if you're kind of going out of your way to not get licensed, maybe there's something, something else going on, right? So could that be
Right.
the
Right.
case?
Yes, exactly. So, exactly. So if you're, as long as you're not doing anything that that's not part of my business practice to do things that are shady, or things that would you be able to share that with your friends and family? How you conduct business? If so, then that's not that's not the kind of business that I run. So
Right. Exactly. So I mean, you should already be withholding yourself to higher standards. I mean, the industry gets bad enough bad enough of a reputation as it already does, right? With
yeah,
the weekend boot camps teaching people to wholesale houses,
mhm,
legally, illegally, whatever. Probably not completely illegal, but you've heard the stories and why, and that's why homeowners are beginning now to kind of distrust certain investors approaching them. So now having your license, I think not only, like you said, it gives you credibility factor, but it almost forces you to abide by the standards that you should already be abiding by, as a real estate business owner and investor,
yeah.
that isn't licensed.
Yeah. And that's the other great part about it. So if I can't come to terms with a seller, on a property, if it doesn't fit my business model, or if it doesn't fit what their expectation on a price is, then I can just, switch hats, say, okay, well, if I can't buy an as investor, I, love to be able to offer it to sell. I can list the house now, or list the property.
Right.
So it gives me that other avenue where I've gone through the licensing requirements. I've gone through the training. I do have some MLS board fees and things like that to pay for. So I've gone through that. So now I can take the next step, and now it doesn't become where I'm trying to push it off to somebody they haven't already met. I've already established a relationship with this person. I've already built rapport, and it's another way to help um, you know help the bottom line.
Right. Exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up because I just had an interview with Chris Bounds last week, and then he said that he think before he got his real estate license, he was leaving about like I think it was like $250,000 in just in commissions from all the seller leads that he had to throw away because he couldn't
Right.
buy them, he couldn't refer them out to anybody. So
Yeah.
getting his license has, like you said, increases the bottom line, and it actually provides an additional stream of income for you, but it also
Yeah.
provides an additional solution for the seller so
Solution.
that you can
Exactly.
compete with other people as well.
Right. And I think that's where kind of my business experience and my business previous business dealings. I have always been about customer service, providing solutions, problem solving. So when it came to investment side, is really like providing solutions, problem solving, and at the end of the day, they are your customers. So for me to add this to what I've already been doing, it's just been, it's been great. It's really benefited me for sure. and it's given that last part of, essentially customer service and solutions, problem solving solutions. So if I can only get this far, but the solution for that person might be a retail sale, then I can provide that solution.
Right, exactly. And then it just gives you a much better competitive edge over somebody who can only, you know, have one avenue of selling their house, or, whether they're just an agent or just an investor, right? So that gives you a big advantage over somebody else who's only doing one side of the business and the other.
Yeah. More tools in the toolbox for sure.
Right, definitely. And then, I think that's kind of brought up a good point there. It's just, a lot of, we talked just not right now about why, investors should get licensed, but, we hear a lot about, what about an agent, right? Should they experience the investing side of the business? Should they dabble in the investing side of the business as well? So I think, a lot of agents, they don't like to invest in real estate for whatever reason. They talk about it and they talk about it with their clients, but, realtors are not, they don't really, if you look at the actual kind of like, are they in the investing business, they're really not, right? Maybe they have a couple of investment properties and it's actually like a big deal, for an agent to invest in real estate, just kind of an insane idea. But I mean, like, for, your opinion, do you think, like, if somebody's been in the real estate business as a realtor, what are some good ways that they can kind of get started on the investing side? How should they be educating themselves, allocating time on that side as well?
Yeah. So I think just kind of one of the reasons why a lot of agents, and yeah, I mean, just my opinion, one of the reasons why a lot of agents aren't investing is, they are, going from one transaction to the next and just kind of chasing the next transaction.
Right.
And so there might not have a lot of free capital to do that. So I think that's probably one of the challenges. And so what are one of the ways they can, get involved? I think for me, listening to the Bigger Pockets podcast is great. Getting that, just getting the mindset like, okay, I'm going to invest. And so how can I, how is it that I'm going to start investing? So, and then just go from that mind frame, as opposed to I want to, just get in your mind that I'm going to, so I'm just going to find how I'm going to do it. How am I going to go about it?
Right.
So yeah, meeting up, going to the RIAs, talking to other investors, finding people that you align with and people that you want to work with. I think it's a great start. That's kind of how I started. And then it's kind of like crawl, walk, run type thing.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
Of course,
definitely.
there's tons of books. There's no lack of knowledge. It is really kind of like, and you kind of mentioned it's really time allocation. Like, how are you going to allocate your time? What do you want to do? Where's your final growth? Where do you see yourself growing towards? And obviously real estate's great. I mean, they already have so much knowledge already. So it's just a matter of, okay, let's just kind of button up this other part that, maybe hasn't been started or addressed yet.
Right, exactly. And agents work with investors all the time, as well. Kind of multifamily investors, or people who are, investing in, a lot of properties. Some people who are just kind of investing in a couple just for their retirement. If you're educating a lot of these people a lot of time, right? Just kind of go out there and maybe find somebody who's a little bit more, experienced in the investing space that you've maybe worked with in the past. Find them a property, or, if you're an agent working with flippers, maybe start talking to them, seeing what networking events that they're going to, and
Yeah.
just start capturing that knowledge, right? So
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't take much, but it just takes, like you said, it takes, you have a specific indefinite goal to be able to go out there, and then to go out there and learn that side of the business, which, as an agent, again, we just talked about all the benefits of having your license, right? As an investor, so you now have a pre-existing advantage. You don't have to go out there and get licensed again.
Right.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah. I mean, so I think what you do in the real estate space is you like to dabble in both sides, like we're just talking about, retail and investing. And I think after you got your license, you actually spent even more time than most investors who get licensed in the retail side of the business. I think a lot of investors do the thing where you just mentioned where they have their license, they might list the property for someone or just maybe just refer it out
Right.
for the referral. But I think you actually have taken up more of an agent role as well in helping a lot of buyers get into
Yeah.
properties. So definitely want to pick your brain on that and how you kind of got started on that side as well.
Yeah. So you're right. When I first, my intention and what ended up happening kind of shifted, and that's okay, right? Just saying, like anything else. So what I figured was, okay, so I'm investing, so I want to save money on my commission. I want to have
Right.
quick access to MLS. I want to be able to look at things for myself and essentially not be asked. So it's kind of like when, as an investor, if you want to get more comps, detailed comps, you typically will go ask one agent, then ask another agent, then ask a third agent, then fourth, and the fifth. And you kind of do a little rotation. But so I want to do that for myself. So then I figure, okay, well, let me just get the MLS access, get this stuff. But then what I discovered essentially was that you know, I've gone through this process, and I've gone through this, um, you know, this training and all this stuff. So why don't I just, advertise it more, as far as putting things out there on social media and just making sure my friends and family know about what I'm doing. And then essentially it's kind of like just like anything else, there's a learning curve. So you want to try to learn as much as possible. I don't want to be an agent that didn't, didn't serve my clients well. I wanted to be someone that was able to provide as many solutions as possible and as many answers as possible. So I delved more into this retail transaction side than I originally anticipated, and been able to help friends and family members and just people that I know from previous coworkers have reached out, people that don't necessarily you know um, haven't had so many conversations with them, but they see what I'm doing and just want to reach out to me because they know how I do business and how I, conduct myself in general. So they, felt like it was a good opportunity, someone that they knew that was in the business, they could trust. And yeah, so definitely spend more time, of course. And then when I saw, the benefits with EXP and saw the, stock, that's really something that I knew that I was comfortable with, something that I knew from my previous company. Is like, okay, I know about stock, I know about stock options, I know about investing. So all that made sense to me, where someone coming in that's unfamiliar with stock options and how stock can really grow is somebody that, or sometimes I feel like that might be fall on deaf ears, or just like they might not necessarily understand that. So that's something I caught on to really quickly, and I was like, okay, I like this. So I was like, okay, so the more I sell, the more stock I can earn. It's like, okay, great. So
Right. Yeah.
why not build that up?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up. So maybe we can take a little tangent here and talk about that because you brought up the stock awards or the stock option as well. So I believe you're referring to the agent equity program where agents are essentially able to have like a stock buyback at EXP where they take 5% of your commission and invest it at their EXPI stock at a 10% discount. So is that's the one you're referring to mostly?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, when I saw, when I was thinking about different brokers, and I saw that the, EXP offered that type of essentially offering stock in the company and the agent equity program, I said, well, okay, that makes sense to me because that's kind of what I'm used to in the past. So I like that, I like being able to, essentially as why the same reason why I got into investing, I wanted to, you know, start something that will grow in the future, something that would, I've always been about long-term type things. I've never been about quick and easy type solutions. I've always wanted to be long-term. So, so that's what I saw when I saw the EXP model, and yeah, definitely love that part about it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And it's like it's a complete just for listeners out there. This is like a completely optional. It's not they're not forcing you to pay 5% of your commissions to buy their stock essentially. So this is a complete optional kind of choice for the agent to choose as well. And a lot of agents are taking advantage of it. Like Tony here, who's taking advantage of it, and they see the opportunity as well. So I mean, kind of want to revisit something you just said, which is that you like to think long term and you like to think about not just quick solutions that are essentially going to solve an immediate problem or going to provide like an immediate return, but you like to think long term. And do you think that's something that you know doesn't necessarily have to be even a business owner or entrepreneur, but like as an individual who want to potentially build a better lifestyle for themselves? Do you think that's something that everybody needs to do, is to think about delayed gratification and what you're doing now and how what your time is being spent now and how that has an effect on you over time versus just, is this going to provide me a solution or is this going to provide me a return on your time right now, to essentially build a better overall lifestyle that we're just talking about.
Right. So I think, for my point of view is, yeah, I feel like, if you're just going for, if you're just trying to do something that'll get you, over the next year or next month, you know, um, that might work for some things, but it's not, it's not like, it's not something that, in my opinion, should be relegated like to something that you were talking about, a career. So, your income that's going to be, impacting yourself and your family, So I feel like, yeah, for sure, long-term solutions. It just it works out best for, it's always worked out best for me. If you think about who are the people that you admire the most, what would they do in their situation? What kind of things, ideas would they what would they be thinking about? How would they think through this? And if you can essentially, think that way, you're going to make a good decision for yourself and for your family.
Right. Exactly. It's more about, what, like I said, like what your time return has on your life in the future versus just, am I spending this time right now? What is it gonna essentially give me back right now? So like you can almost think of it, as if you're a real estate, investor and agent on the marketing side of things. If you spend time the same hour cold calling somebody or cold calling a list versus that same hour writing a blog post or putting out a YouTube video or doing what I'm doing now, putting out a podcast.
Yes.
Which one has the better return on your time, right? Because you can only
Yeah.
cold call that list once and they only get your call
Yes.
once versus if you put out marketing, it stays there forever. It can generate you leads, even later as
Right.
well.
Right. Yeah. And that's one thing, I admire about how you built your business. And, you for sure are, you're much younger than me. But I admire your business savvy and what you've been able to accomplish. So it's like, you know, um, I'm, I don't think I've modeled myself after what you've done, but I definitely am learning from how you're building your business. And I'm going to be picking your brains pretty soon because, I feel like I've kind of going through this kind of retail cycle. I've got the investment. I've learned the retail cycle. And I know that, like I've known in the past is like, okay, this retail cycle works, but at the end of the day, it is still short term and it's transactional and it's something that, and not the way I intended to build my business in the first part. And it's not the way I will be building it, so I'm going to, again, I don't think I told you that, but I'm going to be picking your brain some more. So
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and thank you, Tony. I didn't know that's how you felt, but like, thank you. I appreciate it. This is part of the reason why I'm doing a lot of these things is because so that I can help other people kind of realize as well the return on time that you have, because I guess maybe because I have a little bit more I have a little bit more time, just
right.
because it's of my age, and maybe I don't have as many responsibilities as a lot of people. So I guess, I have the benefit or the privilege of doing what I'm able to do. I'm very grateful for it. And that's why I decided to spend my time the way that I have, because I know I can't necessarily get it back. And that's something that everybody, I think, who's even a little bit savvy and just like the philosophies of life, realizes that time is the only thing you can't necessarily get back, because we're all living on a timeline, essentially, or we're playing against time. That's the only thing that we have on the other side of the board, essentially.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, like, when people talk about you're playing against yourself in life, I think it's more about you're playing against time, and that's what it really means. So that we're not competing against anybody else, and that could affect our judgment as well as looking around us. But yeah, I mean, like, anyways, like, you brought up like some of the things that you've been doing in the retail cycle, and although I know that's not worth thinking about right now, a lot of new agents getting started might be interested in just how that works, or what are some specific marketing that you've been able to do, I guess, for people to find you, aside from, I guess, coworkers and your sphere. But I guess that's an important part of it as well, because if you don't tap into your sphere, you kind of never really know what's going on there as well. So I mean, maybe kind of tell us a little bit about what we've done there to get some leads, and even a very specific strategy that you've been able to generate some pretty high value leads from, that
Yeah,
we've talked about in the past. So
yeah. So the main thing I think is just when in this business, it's really about communicating and just getting the word out. The more people that you can connect with and talk to, the better. And then also, some people say just document your journey. So you can just,
right.
if you're a newer agent, just just post, hey, I'm going to the MLS board and doing some training, or going pick up some super keys, or whatever the case is. Just letting people know what you're doing and that you're in the field. Um, I posted things, about my just going to showings, and you see some really unusual things, or just have different tips for either buyers or sellers just during the transaction. I might communicate something to either a buyer or seller, and then later on I might post something about that. So really, my sphere of influence, people that have I haven't necessarily actively called my sphere of influence, say, hey, I'm a realtor now, or whatever the case is, but I've just been posting things. And a lot of times, people just know me, and they're reaching out and say, hey, can you ask me, and can you talk to me about this? So I've been able to do several deals with my sphere of influence literally friends, family members, and previous coworkers, and people that I've done business with as well. I've been involved in the Chamber of Commerce for many years. I'm actively on the board right now, and I served also as a previous president of the same Chamber of Commerce, so I have a lot of contacts there as well. Things like that. Another thing that I've done as well is just, we have a great CRM, which is known as customer relationship manager, essentially where you put your contacts, where you track your leads if they're coming in. And then also has the one we utilize KV Core. So it automatically sends some auto texting people if they've, gone to your website and things like that. And they also have a feature in there where you can advertise do Craigslist postings. So what I've done, for my business is I've decided to, just do some Craigslist postings. This is a tip that I got from another agent, and, they were doing, I think they told me they were doing 5 postings in the morning, 5 postings in the afternoon, 5 postings in the evening, and just gave them lots of business, enough for them to put a pause on it because they were staying busy. So I said, okay, well, let me start doing that. So I think it's a great thing to have. So you can also, on KV Core, you can post to Craigslist, and immediately following after that posting, it says, do you want to post this on Facebook? Well, you can take the same posting and post it on Facebook as well. So it's just a really good way to get leads. And, I started marketing, just being more selective on what I wanted to post as far as listings wise. So I decided, my postings were going to be, roughly 500,000 or more listings, and it could be businesses or farm ranch, and just kind of go that route. So I've been able to get leads that way and work them as well. So that's turned out pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'd love to, love to, for a brand new agent to hear that. I think it's just, it's probably pretty inspiring because, they now know that you can go in there and do this without, much experience in the past, and then just be able to generate higher value buyers from these listings, right? Because like you said, you took that same strategy and then you enhanced it by upping the price versus, a normal agent might just go in there and put like a 200, 250, $300,000 house up there, which is completely fine. But, if you put a higher value listing, you're going to get a bigger chunk of a commission. So why not, right? It's the same effort. Again, same effort. You're just getting a better return on what you're doing. So
yeah, to me, like, just leveraging time, leveraging time is good. Leveraging, just find a way to leverage things as much as possible. So I felt like, okay, let's just go higher, why not? If it's something that if it's something that I haven't done before, I'll figure out a way to do it, or partner, and seek help from somebody who can help me with this, so it's not something, I am not opposed to getting, asking for help. If I see somebody who's doing something really well, if, for instance, if I know somebody does farm and ranch well, I've called them, hey, let's talk about this. I've got a lead that is interested in farm and ranch. So they kind of walked me through that. And, I haven't on a big farm and ranch deal. I haven't got that, hasn't come through yet, but I know who my go-to person is with on that, just like I know who go-to people are on investing side as well. When I've got a lead on historical downtown, historical properties downtown, I know who the perfect person is to partner with that on as well. So just having good resources and things like that.
right, definitely. Don't be afraid to ask for help in the beginning, and then understanding the kind of the mastermind principle of who to go to for specific help. And people are a lot more helpful than you think. So um, yeah.
Yeah, and if they're not, then that's not the kind of person then you'll know about that, and then you'll say, okay, that's not the kind of person that I want in my circle. So
Right.
who are those people? And you just keep looking.
Right. It's like
And they'll
flipping
show up.
cards, right? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like flipping for the aces, right? If this is a bad card, you just dispose of it. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So, you talked a little bit about a little bit earlier about, we talked about the stock wars at EXP. So, I mean, that was kind of like a good talking point then. But I do want to dig more into that, and we can kind of wrap the interview up with this as well. Is, aside from the stock and the equity portion of the company that we so greatly enjoy, what else kind of was drawing you towards EXP Realty, when you first got your real estate license as an investor, and then on top of just the company as a whole, us specifically, our organization that you decided to join, with me and with everybody else, what kind of was the drawing factor? And, after a year later, kind of give a good review of how that's worked out and how that's been.
Okay. So just to kind of, so I'm not sure if so let me just go in and recap real quick.
Right.
Okay. So when I knew that, of course, I had to get to a brokerage, I'm like, okay, I saw the EXP model and I said, okay, I understand. Every brokerage you can help people buy real estate. You can help people sell real estate. Okay. So that's good. This one has a model where I can, earn, earn stock and do that. And so that spoke to me on both from my previous career in retail. And so I understood that. And also on the investment side, look, hey, I want to do things long term. I don't want to do things just short term, get quick gratification and get rewarded. I was able, the first time I bought stock, I'll just go back to this real quick.
Uh-huh.
First time I bought stock, I did not intend to buy stock that day. I was working as a stalker. I think I was still stocking shelves. My boss, the store manager, and I know you can't really do this today, but he said, hey, their stock's getting ready to split. Okay. So people, realtors don't really know what stocks, many realtors don't know what stock splits are, right? Okay. So essentially he says, our stock is getting ready to split. So just a very simple example, what a stock split essentially is, you have stock that's worth, let's just say it's worth $10, right?
Right.
So, well, I mean, really, the dollars are higher. Let's just say it's worth $100. The stock price is $100. So when the stock splits, now you, instead of having one stock for $100, now you have two stocks, but their price is $50. Okay, that's what a stock split is. So when he said the stock's getting ready to split. So the reason why businesses do stock splits is because they want to make it feel like it's affordable to, the lowly investor. So it'll spur stock growth. So that essentially what he was saying is like, and I didn't understand this at the time. He said stock's getting ready to split. It's going to do really well. So like, I think you should buy some stock. I said, well, I don't know how to buy stock. He says, well, what's social security number? And he's literally like typing it as I'm telling him. He's like, okay, cool. You just bought stock. I'm like, and he's like, it'll come out of your paycheck. Okay. So he told me you're buying stock and it's coming out of your paycheck. Okay. So I'm like, okay. All right, cool. So believe it or not, when he did that, he helped me. He essentially made me an investor. He helped me. And in that time frame, what I did essentially with that stock, after I got married, that's some of that stock I used to put a down payment on my first house. So he essentially helped me buy my first house. Right. So that's how I knew about it. And that's what I enjoyed about when I saw this thing about stock. And then in investing, of course, long-term growth. I thought, okay, great, long-term growth. I see this as something that, I want to do, and then the third part is, just referring people and just inviting people to join EXP, see if it works for them. I know lots of realtors that have been in the business a long time. They don't own stock. they don't, they haven't invested, and it's something that I feel like is a disservice to them and disservice to their family. So if I can have, earn stock and, do some transactions, and I can also, earn the cap back, that's great. I have the opportunity. Maybe I won't do it immediately, but, I'll be able to get to that point as well. So so then so then I said, okay, I really, really like EXP. So I'm kind of someone that likes to do some research also. I kind of went online and I said, okay, what makes sense to me? And I saw your blog, Kobe. You and Charlie talked about EXP and also talked about, you know, Agent Wealth Collective, WolfPack, and I looked into the people who are part of that organization. Uh, you know, Brant Phillips, Connor Steinbrook, some really Mark Matt Gardner. And I said, okay, these are investors. These are people I feel like I align with, because they're investing in their backyard. I'm investing in my backyard. And like, okay, so it's just another source of people that I can go to, people I can do business with also in the future. So I want to align myself with investors who are realtors and realtors who are investors. So I see myself essentially aligned with this group right here. So that's why I decided to go and join this organization, which I'm part of this branch of EXP, essentially, right? So look at what Connor Steinbrook's done. He's got, I think, over 40,000 YouTube followers, and he's done all kinds of fix and flips. Brandt's done mobile homes. He's in commercial, all that kind of stuff. So like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is who I want to align myself with. And again, kind of going back to what I've done in the past, is like, I love to partner with people who I see myself really aligned with, and people that I see myself on the same track with.
Right. Definitely. We're happy to have you here, Tony. You've been a great great partner to have. You offer a lot of help on our team calls as well, and I think that's part of the reason why I want to have you on this interview as well, because you have a lot of knowledge to offer a lot of agents, and I don't think they realize it until they hear you talk about it. And you have the investing background. You've also worked in retail and gotten started very well as well. As a first year agent who dabbles their time between investing and retail, not just all in on retail. You've done really well on that side as well. So just to kind of wrap things up here, for agents that, we did mention the revenue share program and how that helps. So for agents out there that are listening to this, that want to work with you, you don't have to be in San Antonio or Texas, or you can be anywhere else in the country, or anywhere else in the world. If you want to work with Tony, what are some good ways that agents can reach out to you? And, how are you, what are you doing right now to kind of help your agents that you're sponsoring through the company as well?
Yeah. So thanks. They can reach out to me, investor agent ROI. So I kind of created that. ROI is return on investment, right?
Right.
And that's what investors do. They can reach me on that website and gives more information about my business and who I am, things like that. And also, so the way I can help other agents is just offering, my expertise on different types of marketing. I have lots of great things. I actually, believe it or not, I used to recruit for my previous company. I used to recruit pharmacists and store managers and people that coming out of college. So I have a lot of recruitment experience. I've run the Chamber of Commerce, so I've got a lot of business background and all kinds of things. As far as retail side, as far as real estate marketing help, things like that. I'm always somebody that can be counted on for being able to be available, being able to answer questions and things like that. How to get leads, all kinds of things. Yep. And then, and I'm great to be part of this network, because right now, my next step is really delving into this, the YouTube YouTube course that Connor's been so great to launch for our group, the WolfPack, and part of our Agent Wealth collective. So they're really, I'm planning on getting myself even more visibility and help people with that as well, so I can help them with setting up YouTube channels and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yep. Yeah, that sounds great, and we'll definitely link that. We'll definitely link that as well when you start your YouTube channel and get a lot more traction on that. But yeah, guys, if you want to work with Tony, he's a great leader. He has a lot of experience, like you said, in business, in investing, in marketing as well. And with the revenue share model, he can also offer help on recruitment too. So out there, go to investoragentroi.com and see how you can work with Tony, how you can work with me, and everybody else in this wonderful organization that we have here at EXP that has been I'm extremely grateful for. So Tony, thanks again for being on this podcast. I'm super grateful for you, not just as a guest on the show, but also as a partner and a team member as well. So thank you so much, Tony. Anything else you want to leave with the audience before we sign off here?
Thanks, Kobe. The only thing I'll leave with is, yeah, if you're thinking about getting your license, feel free, if you have more questions on that, feel free to reach out to me. And if you're realtor looking to get investing help, different strategies, things like that, feel free to reach out to myself. We have a great organization. This is really something that I think feel like can really bridge the gap between agents and investors, and really, help you if that's one of your goals. I'd love to be able to be a resource for you.
Yep. Yep. Thank you, Tony. And thank you for being on the show. For the listeners listening to this podcast, again, I believe I mentioned this last week as well. We are a video podcast now on Spotify, so you can watch the full length video on Spotify if you choose to. Well, you can also listen to us on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, most podcast platforms as well. So yeah, sounds exciting. But thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, give a good rating and a review as well, Apple Podcast, if you're listening to it on that. But other than that, guys, thank you guys for tuning in and hope you have a great week. And I'll see you next time.